Hi everyone, so for today's video I'm going to go over the question 6-5-3. It says, initialize the variable subtraction to a function called subtraction function with the values of 10 and 4. So the reason I know what it'll be called is in the actual problem here as well, you'll see it bolded. So variable is subtraction, and the function, it has two things bolded, so I want those variables to be together, the two different words together. So subtraction function will be a camel case. So let's go back to the problem, and what we want to do here, I'll take it one step at a time. So initialize the variable subtraction. So type in var, subtraction, subtraction, that's what we're calling it, and then we're gonna equal to the function, which is subtraction function. And remember, here is camel case because first letter lowercase, second letter uppercase, and we want to, because it's a function, we have to use these brackets right here if we're initializing on one line, and we're giving it the values of 10 and 4 and semicolon at the end. So that's how you initialize a function to get it started. And now we want to actually set up the function. So we'll do function, and we have to call this exact function that we just wrote up there, and it'll be called subtraction function. And now we're just writing default values here, so num1 and then num2, and then here we have to add the these brackets right here because this is what denotes saying that, oh, we're going to perform some type of function within these curly brace brackets. So inside here we want to return something because we're trying to do calculation in here and then return it back up to here, whatever needed it done. So we'll do, because it says subtract 4 from 10, it'll be num1 minus num2. So we're subtracting here. It says, so what will happen is the 10 will be num1, the 4 will be num2, so it'll be 10 minus 4. And then what it'll do is, since it's the value of 6 right here now, it will return that back up to here. And now it's saying subtraction is equal to the value of 6. And what we want to do now is console.log subtraction, semicolon, and then we can run node test.js. And as you can see here, let me clear it. So node test.js, you can see here that we get the value of 6. Because what it's doing is it's looking for this subtraction function here. It's going to find it right here, and it's going to perform something inside the function and return the value back up here to this subtraction variable. And now we're just console logging and displaying it. And right here it tells us to then answer on the same line using the single line comment. So we'll just do 2 / and then it'll be the value, whatever it shows in the console, which is 6. And this is how I want you to at least set it up. We're not fully done. I want to show you something else as well. So we can also add more parameters, just like if you looked at the addition function, we can still add more parameters. It could be hundreds of thousands of values, right? But let's just add one more. So you just put a comma, and that just means we're still doing one more thing. And then we'll do 10, 4, 1. And because this is JavaScript, it could still run like this, but I want you to get in the habit of having the same number of parameters here as to same number of parameters here. So since there are 3 numbers up here, we want to put 3 placeholder values here as well. So we'll do num3, and because of subtraction, we'll just subtract num3. And now what's going to happen is num1 is 10, num2 is 4, num3 is 1, and it will be 10 minus 4 minus 1, and that should give us the value of 5. So return that value of 5 back up here. So subtraction is equal to 5, and we'll change this now to 5. So when we console this out, node test.js, you see here we get the value of 5. So we can add as many different types of numbers. We just have to make sure we adjust the parameters with it as well. And let's go back to the actual question because we only have the values of 10 and 4 in this question. So let's just remove this. I was just showing you an example. So remove that. And this should be now 6 right here. And also another question is that, because we have this function, we always want to reuse it. The reason why we want to do it this way is to have these default values is because what happens now if we have another variable, we want to subtract more numbers like 5 and 2. So what it's going to do now is we have to still change this variable. Let's just call it subtraction2 now. So we can console.log subtraction2. Before we run it, let me just explain. So subtraction function, let's start from the top. So first, it runs the line of code from top down. So it'll go to line 6 here, and it'll be like subtraction. Okay, this is the variable. So it's looking for a subtraction function. First, it'll do the calculation in the function, and it'll find this subtraction function and give it the value of 10 and 4, do the calculations, then return that calculated value back up here. So that will be the answer for subtraction. Next, it'll go to the line 7, and it'll give it, we have the variable called subtraction2, and it'll still look for the same function, subtraction function, and it'll just do the same calculations here. And we're giving 5 and 2 now, so num1 is 5, num2 is 2, so 5 minus 2 is 3. So it'll return that value of 3 back up here, so this is 3 now, and subtraction 2 is equal to 3. So when we console log this out, we should get a value of 3. So let's do node test.js. And as you can see here now, we get the value of 6 and 3, just like we predicted right here. So that's why we want to have placeholder values in functions, is because we want to set up maybe multiple different variables, and we want to make sure we're efficient. We don't want to have to copy the same code over and over and over again. That's too much to look at. We want to just do this once and then just reuse it when we need it. So in this question, we only need to do one calculation, 10 and 4. This is just an example, but that's how you do it if you have multiple things you want to initialize, or if you want to add more or less parameters. You saw how it's done, and we're not fully done yet. What we want to do now is add documentation to the function. You want to add 1/2 stars, and you can see it auto completes, and enter. So what's happening here is this is just saying, okay, we're going to start this multi-line comment, and then we're going to end it with the */. If you don't have this and you do this, you can see here this gets all commented out at the bottom, and everything here will not run. So you want to make sure you have that opening and closing to the multi-line comment. And what it's essentially saying here is describing a parameter, num1, and then it's describing the other parameter, which is num2, and then it returns something because we have this return value inside. So let's first set this up. So let's say we want a description, the subtraction function, something like this, and then the first value, num2, is the second value, and then returns the subtracted value of num1, subtracted value, let's just take it right here, subtract 4 from 10. So subtracted value of num2 from num1. And now it's just describing exactly what this function is doing. The reason why you want this is because if you're starting to develop a big application, you're going to have maybe hundreds of thousands of functions, and if you have team members or like new members coming into your team, then they have to know what each function does. And in order to properly allow other people to understand is you want to have this documentation above the function, so then when another person comes in, they can be like, oh, okay, the subtraction function, what does it do? Okay, it's a subtraction function. What's the first value about? Okay, the second, okay. And what does it return? Okay, it's a subtracted value of num2 from num1. Okay, so we know exactly what this function does. So the other developer doesn't have to come in and start asking you questions. It's already going to be on there and it's just ready to go. So this is how you properly set up the documentation of a function, which you need to know. And this is basically how you set up this problem right here.